Peace and blessings, everyone. How is everyone feeling today? It's been a minute since I've been on, so please forgive me. I have a lot of irons in the pot. But I was thinking about something last night. I was telling myself, look, you've got all these different pages, and now you have an author page. But what you haven't shared is anything about your book or yourself. So I am here today to do that. Hi, I am Mayaka Anderson, and thank you so much for coming to my author's page. I am originally from Anchorage, Alaska. I have four beautiful children, and I have two bonus children. So, altogether, six children. I also have seven grandbabies. We had a new grandbaby added to us December 2nd. So, we're so excited to have a new baby come into the world and see our bloodline extended. Yes. Let's see what else. I am happily married 6 years now, and in February it will be 7. Um, and I just recently moved to Georgia, so that's new too, right? I was in the healthcare field for about 25 plus years, probably even longer. I stopped counting as I got older. So my purpose is to serve. So everything I do has always surrounded service of others. And I think that's my gift. I am definitely a healer. Let's see. Now I can talk to you a little bit about my book. So my book is called Confronting Reflections. I hope you can see that there. It is a book that documents the worst part of my life. The part I usually tell people where I literally walk through the valley of death. I had a very traumatic experience with my church where the pastor violated two of my daughters. Um, it made national news. But this experience really was the catalyst to the life that I live today. It was an experience that broke me, literally just broke me up, broke up my family, my then husband, relationship with my kids. It broke up the relationship I thought I had with the Most High, but through the time and the experiences I had, he definitely came in and explained a lot. And to find out, that the Most High is much bigger than the church allows you or teaches you in experiencing Him. I'll say that. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe I'll clarify that later. But anyway, so Confronting Reflections is a document about what happened during that time, how I felt, and the 7 years of confusion, anger, grief, you name it, that I went through, the destruction that I caused because I was no longer myself, and how I didn't find power in the church. But I found it with a personal experience with the Most High. He gave me 7 exercises that I completed in about a year and a half. It was a lot of inner work. And at the end of that year and a half, that started my journey. So just because I was doing the exercises does not mean that I was healing right away. It took some time for me to get there, unfortunately. But I'm so glad that I did, because the fact that I'm here today is really a testimony, because I was down and out, and I was one of those who was experiencing the feeling of suicide and homicide all at the same time. I mean, it was a dark place to be in. And if you've never been there, it's really hard to explain. But it's, for me, I understand where people are in their darkest moments, because it is a very lonely place. And you don't come across people who really understand where you're at. Sometimes suppression can take you there, grief can take you there. And in my case, I thought it was just pure anger. But what I found out through the work that I was doing in the exercises is that my grief at some point turned to anger. And that anger was like a mixture of anger and rage. And it did not serve me well. and it tried to destroy me from the inside out and destroy anything that I touched. And it was really hard to at some points to even continue to to keep pushing on. I was doing a lot of destructive things. I was making a lot of bad choices, but in my mind I wasn't going to be here anyway, right? So I'm going to live this up, and then I'm going to go ahead and transition, because right now it doesn't matter. You know, if you can't trust the church, if you can't trust your pastor, and you feel like you have no allies, what is the point, right? What is the point? And what's sad about it all, and this is no fault of anyone else, I talk about this on my YouTube channel, Rooted Vines, but no fault of anyone's, is that you can talk to people day to day. Like on my job was the only place that I found a little peace. I worked in the emergency department, and I found a little bit of peace because it was the only thing I felt like I was somewhat still good at, because everything else I felt like I failed as a mom, as a wife, you name it, I failed at it, right? And so in this, I found a slight bit of peace when I was there, because I didn't really have to think about anything but my job. And to say that people could look at you and you could play the game, right? Because I'm in a dungeon somewhere. Like the real me is gone. Like I'm sitting in, you know, the movie Get Out, how he's down in that well of darkness. That's where I was. I was running on autopilot. So people could talk to you and you could laugh and you could, you know, it seemed like you were your normal self, but nobody saw that the light was gone out of your eyes. No one saw that part, right? We're laughing. People in depression, people who are suicidal, people who are homicidal, they play the role really good because people don't notice, or they're not looking to see that that light is gone. There is no light there. We just smile and nod and we keep going on that autopilot, and until we can't go anymore, until it just runs out. And that's when usually the worst things happen. And in my case, I'm so happy that the Most High stepped in and that I actually listened and took the time to do this. And it was not easy to do because I did not want to confront myself. And that was the whole thing. When the Most High calls you, the thing is, no matter what you're dealing with, he doesn't show you the problem. What he does is he shows you you. And then he walks you through these steps and shows you the decisions you made. And then he gets down to the nitty gritty on why you really made those decisions. And let me tell you something, it is painful. He puts you through the fire and then he rebuilds you. And that's what he did. And it was one of the most painful experiences I had gone through. And I'm glad that I went through it, because when I came out and when I was healed, my life completely changed. Completely changed. Everything from my mindset to my spirit to my physical body, everything changed. So this book, Confronting Reflections, just walks through my story. I share the exercises with you that I went through that helped heal me. Everybody is not going to be ready for this journey because, like I said, it's a tough journey. Not everybody's going to be ready. But when you are, this book was created for you. Also, with the book, I did create a journal, a workbook that goes along with it. Now, you don't have to get the workbook that goes along with it, because you can kind of go through the exercises as I explain it in the book. The one reason I did this is because it really isolates. You know, you just don't take a notebook paper, but it really isolates. I know this is probably looking backwards. I'm not really sure. Your work that you're doing. So I go into more detail in the workbook to help you do the real work and the exercises in the workbook. I also have a place where you kind of like, where is it? Just a chill out kind of coloring, get your mind off stuff, because the work is so intense. You have so many different emotions and feelings because you're confronting yourself about a lot of things. And a lot of it is traumatic experiences that we have had concerning other people. And sometimes you do need to breathe. Sometimes you are going to scream, you're going to cry, you're going to yell. Sometimes you go silent, sometimes you go numb because the work is so hard. I sent this workbook and a book as a gift to my uncle. And he's also in Alaska right now. So I sent him the book. And he says, I'm doing the workbook. And he was like, man, this is hard. He was like, it's really making me think. Like he said, this workbook is life changing. And it touched my heart because that's what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be a life-changing book because I think people who have had traumatic experiences need someone and need some kind of catalyst to help them out. Will this book, is it a savior for everyone? No, absolutely not. Sometimes there are things that are so raw and so entrenched, and it's been there so long that some people unfortunately will not come out of it. And with those people, we really need to have grace. So I always say, be careful what you say to people because you don't know what they're going through. Even if they're smiling in your face, always give grace because that smile that you give to someone, that kind word might be that one thing that day that keeps them alive just a little bit longer. You know what I mean? I mean, it's that serious. And I know it's that serious. So when I did this, my intention was to really help those in that space and to really give a platform for those voices that can't speak right now because they are in that dark place. They are feeling that pain and they don't feel like anyone understands because there's a disconnect. It's almost like your emotions get disconnected from this realm. So when you're in that dark space, the kind words, the concern that you may give, it doesn't resonate down there. It doesn't get that dark. It can't get that. It's kind of like when you go in the ocean, you can only go so far. That's kind of like your words. It can only go so far, but we're so deep under, we don't feel that. There's no connection there. And it's not something you can pop in and out of. And depression is kind of like that too. Like people will be depressed and people will say, well, just snap out of it, get out of it, just feel better. It does not work that way. And those words, when you say that, what you do is you just shred that person a little more while they're already shredding themselves. Like those are not comforting words. And the truth is, when someone is that far and that deep, it's really hard to find words to comfort them, to meet them where they're at. It's hard to explain. You just can't come in and meet them. The Most High is going to have to do that work, right? And they're going to have to be willing to do that work. And sometimes that darkness can get comfortable for some people, which is really scary because they know that darkness, right? Even if they don't want to be there, it has been ingrained and it has been so comfortable, and they know it. And to come out of that is such a shock to come out and be amongst the living. And I hope I'm making sense when I say that. To be amongst the living and to feel again. That's a lot. And they have to be very vulnerable and willing to do that. If not, some things or some situations end up tragic. And that's why you have people like, they say, oh, they seem so happy. They had everything. The truth is, it's just surface, right? We're all surface. Who really gets down to the nitty gritty? When I ask you, how are you feeling? You say, oh, I'm fine with a smile, and you keep going. If I was to grab your hand and look you in your eye and say, how are you feeling? How are you holding up? What's going on with you? A lot of you would just stop and look in my eyes and your tears would start to go because there's so much. we're holding on to in this realm. There's so much that we do want to say, but nobody is there willing to take the time to listen. And that is what is sad. We live in a world of vanity and we're all in so much pain, right? And we don't know how to get rid of it. And having faith isn't part of that. You can have all the faith in the world. These things are real and they're tangible in people's lives, and it has nothing to do with that. And that's why I found in my journey that the church is powerless. They have a lot of gimmicks. They have a lot of motivational speaking. They want to blame it on the faith, but the truth is the people in that building don't have the power, so they cannot heal you. There used to be a time when the church was powerful, where you could go and your needs could be met, and people were really concerned about you and what was going on. That is long gone. We must be able to build a relationship with the Most High. That's the only way we're going to make it. And He has given us the power to create, to change, to do, to heal, all of it. And yet we still ask for these things, and we've already been granted them, but we refuse to trust in them. And it's sad when people, especially, and I know the church is just filled with broken people, can take advantage, especially the leader, the so-called shepherd of a church, take advantage of a family. And as you know, this goes on all the time. And there's people who have gone through this and have kept it quiet. There's people who have gone through this, knew their children were violated, and said nothing. All to protect what? So my whole thing is, I am an advocate for examining yourself for change. I am an advocate for those who don't have a voice, and people don't understand why things are working the way they are, or why they're in this darkness and they can't be reached. It is a serious issue. And I say we because I was there with them. We can fake the funk, honey. We can fake the funk. Whatever you want it to be, we can be there. We can be that. And inside, we are a wreck. Inside, we are screaming for someone to see that the light has gone out. Stop just being on the surface. Be concerned about those that are around you. Have some serious conversations, not just calling up someone to gossip. Find out what's going on, how they feel, and create a safe space. And that goes for the men too. There are men out here who are totally alone. They are married and can't speak to their spouse about whatever's going on. And I thank the Most High that I am not a man, because the things that are put on top of their shoulders, the things that they are responsible for day in and day out. Now, women are responsible for a lot too. But it's a different kind of responsibility. It's a different kind of weight that's put on a man to carry day in and day out. And for those who do it and come home and have no peace, no place to rest their head, no time to think, I can't imagine what is going on inside. And the other problem is men can't even be vulnerable to other men. And yet they're all experiencing all of the same thing. And they'd rather walk out. They'd rather leave this realm than to disclose this. Why? Because society has already set up these false notions, these false beliefs, these false rules that they feel they need to adhere to. And they don't feel like there's a way out. That goes for single mothers too. My heart is with you. I was a single mother with 3 babies for a while. Lonely place. I remember, this is so funny, but I remember sitting, waiting for the mailman to come, just so I could have a conversation with another adult. I know he thought I was crazy, but hey, that's, you're unsure, right? You're working, you got these kids, you're trying to do the best that you can. and it's lonely and it's scary and you think they're going to stay small forever and you're never going to be able to do something. But I'm here to tell you that time heals, time does heal things. You're not alone. You're not alone. And we need to check on those single mothers. We need to check on those kids. We need to check on each other. We are not an island. We only work if we work together. We are a communal people. This earth was supposed to be a communal place where we worked with each other. We work with nature. We work with the animals. Everything should have been connected, but we have been disconnected. And because of that disconnection, our minds, our bodies, and our spirits are off balance. And it's time to cut out the superficial things. And it's time to go inside yourself. And it's time to really lend a serious hand or a serious ear to your fellow brother. Now, I was supposed to just come on here and tell you a little bit about me and tell you a little bit about the book. But sometimes it gets so deep because my heart, like I said, I am about service. And I feel people. I feel their loneliness and their pain. And I talk about trespassing. I have a YouTube channel. I talk about trespassing. Well, it's a video that's going to be coming up. Even though I may feel certain things, I must be invited to help, right? Because sometimes people don't look for the help from you personally. They're waiting on the knight in shining armor to come. So if you help, they'll either take advantage, won't appreciate your help because they never asked you to step in, right? So we have to be conscious of that. So I know there's a lot of people out here who may need, who may want, but what I say to that is just use your discernment. And in the meantime, make sure you pass along grace. Give people grace. Give them kindness. Pass love. Make sure your energy is at a high vibration so that you can change the atmosphere in a room. So if someone feels down, you give them a glimpse of hope. Look into each other's eyes. Make sure that their lights have not gone out. Be there. Be concerned. The day of selfishness and vanity should be over. It is time that we grow up and take off of all of these programmed things that have been instilled in us since birth and become the people that the Most High has created us to be as an individual and as a collective. Well, I'm Mayaka Anderson, the author of Confronting Reflections. I hope you got something out of this video. And hopefully I will be seeing you soon and going live soon. All right, you guys, be blessed. Be blessed in all that you do. You are something special, and there is only one of you. All right? Discover you. Discover wellness. All right. Bye-bye.